I am Lou, and this is Lenny.
Hello. I was born ready.
You were born ready to talk about Specter of the Past?
Yes.
His 1997 novel by Timothy Zahn?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good. I got a bunch of yarn randomly.
Yeah, I can see that.
And gonna try to disassemble it and create it into something that I want to use, which involves unraveling a friend of mine's abandoned projects and taking amorphous balls of yarn and making them into less amorphous balls of yarn so that they don't tangle horrifically. There aren't that many things going on in my head these days, which is not actually true, but it's weird. I just find it so interesting that I get really intense obsessions with things, and then they just go away. Hockey's over. And
Thank God.
but it's sad, I miss hockey, but then I try to get back into caring about hockey, and then I'm like, ugh, what are they doing? What are they doing why are they doing this? Why did I feel such intense emotions about these millionaires on the ice with the little tiny rubber puck? I'll probably change my tune once the season starts again, to be completely frank. But I do not understand how people can still continue to care during the off season. It's really amazing.
Most people don't.
Some people really do.
Well, yeah, there are people that give a fuck about Major League Baseball in December, but not me.
That's true. That is true.
And baseball saving grace is you can start listening to games in late February,
Nice.
early March. That's a lie. Spring training starts very early though.
Nice.
So
Yeah. No, training camps do start up soon. That could be interesting.
Yeah,
but like right now,
training camps are different than spring training.
For sure.
Because spring training is just
playing game.
Yeah, they're just like scrimmage games.
Yeah. No, training camps are not that. I mean, like there's the preseason, but the preseason this year is like 6 games or something. Hey, you should not do that.
So Lydwina is here. Hi, Lydwina. Our guest for today.
Yeah.
She tried to eat my lemon poppy seed cake.
She did try to do that.
Oh my god, I think...
yeah, hockey's over.
Hockey's over.
Because one last thing about the off season is that like, the way that people seem to continue to care is by fabricating rumors about trades. And I just can't care about things that like fans and the hockey media are making up about or like not trades necessarily, or also like what prospects are going to do. Like I really think that Michael Hage is going to play for one last year at UMich. That seems like that's what he said he's going to do, but people are like, oh my god, Michael Hage is definitely going to become a full-time NHLer this season. It's like, well, why would he do that when he has repeatedly said the opposite? But anyway, so that is true. I wouldn't know anything about that. That's a lie. But yeah. Anyway, how are you?
Give me 1 second. I can give you the baseball updates.
Word.
I guess I'm living the dream. Well, there's no Reds game today. They're playing the A's tomorrow.
Oh.
Yes, they are playing the A's. But they're not in Oakland anymore, I don't think.
Interesting.
Click on their thing. Well, the trade deadline is like today for the Reds.
Interesting.
And for MLB broadly. The Dodgers got fucking Tarek Skubal
Oh.
from the Tigers. Kevin Gausman got traded to the Cubs.
Oh.
Yeah. That being said, every day I'm becoming more apathetic.
Towards baseball or in general?
¿Por qué no los dos?
See.
Thank you, Taco Bell.
It's become one of those gifts that I can hear.
Other than that, I am in comprehensive exam hell. I have a comprehensive exam due next Monday.
Oh my god.
Which will still be next Monday when it's comes out.
True.
So when this comes out, I will have 96 hours.
Oh boy. Time is a cruel mistress.
It is, especially with
Patina?
Petite Knit.
Petite knit. What is petite knit?
She's a Scandinavian designer, and I find all of her patterns to be incredibly overwhelming and underwhelming at the exact same time, wherein they are the most basic patterns you've ever seen in your fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're talking beige knitting around sweater.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. This is boring.
And her patterns are written in such a way that, like, and maybe I will upload a photo to Imgur so people can see the current progress on the Forever shawl. But the patterns are written in such a way that I get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You see as you're looking at this shawl that has, like, over 100,000 stitches so far and is entirely lace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, if something is written and that overwhelms you, like, you are... I feel like, have we already argued about whether or not you're an advanced knitter?
I don't think I am an advanced knitter.
What are you, intermediate?
I don't
Advanced intermediate? Who knows? You are an experienced knitter and you knit very pretty things that are very complicated looking at the very least.
They are complicated looking, but they are not complicated. I promise.
I do believe you. This is just a tank top.
No, and her patterns are like $30.
What?
Maybe it's because I look at the prices in Canadian money, but they're expensive.
Still.
And it's like, step 1, cast on however many fucking stitches. It details everything to such a degree that I think it inhibits people from improving.
Yeah, I see.
A lot of the, like, discourse about, like, knitting patterns is that not everyone makes their knitting patterns like petite knit. Yeah, and, like, the Forever shawl.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Mod shawl by, her name is Paula. Can't remember her last name though. It's like a good 5 pages, and like 3 of those pages, or maybe it's like an 8-page PDF, but I think like half the pages are just pictures of the shawl.
Mm-hmm.
And like information on like her inspiration.
Capabilities?
Maybe. I don't know. It's a very good pattern.
Oh yeah, this is her. Yo, is she Greek? Or Lithuanian?
Maybe.
I get the two confused a lot.
Greek?
Yep. No, but it's happened many times, especially when I was working at the thrift store and people had loyalty accounts with us. I would put in people's phone numbers and I would be like, is this you? And I would look at the last name. And oftentimes I'd be like, oh my God, you Greek? And then...
You'd be like, no.
Yeah. But...
Not.
That too.
Kind of funny.
It is fun.
No, but these... And I feel like, sorry that this is turning into Louise's knitting hour. But we have to start every episode by me complaining about something that doesn't matter. Also, quick side note before I get into the petite knit discourse and drama, which I might have done on here before.
I don't think so.
Watched a few more episodes of DS9. Every episode's a fucking banger. We watched the episode that everyone considers to be the best episode. It was very good. But then I skipped ahead a few because there was an episode that was about Cork's mother.
Mm.
Because Cork's mother is like a girl boss.
Mm.
In like the old school way.
Fun.
Because
so terrifying.
Women on Ferenginar don't have rights.
Right.
Like, they can't wear clothes.
Oh. Damn.
Or leave the house.
Shit.
Yeah. And Cork's mother, who has a name, but I don't remember it because in my head her name is just Mookie. She starts dating the equivalent of, like, the eldest elder on Ferenginar.
Interesting.
And convinces him that women should be allowed to wear clothes.
Word.
So then they can leave the house and they can make profit. And to be completely honest, the quality of the episode was exactly the same as the episode that everyone considers to be the best episode.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there is a best episode of DS9. I think they're all fucking bangers.
Wow.
Well, and like, you know the guy that's like weird and like sexually harasses people?
Maybe. I don't...
The hot one.
Oh my God, him.
Kardashian.
Yeah.
Lost his fucking marbles.
Oh.
So there's like an entire episode where he like, sorry for the DS9 spoilers, I guess, but the show ended in 1999, so get fucked.
Yeah.
His daughter dies.
Mm-hmm.
And he like loses his shit. And then the next episode he's in, he like is on a ship with Cisco, and then they crash on a planet, and then he just like goes full like audiovisual hallucinations, is like lying to Cisco about the status of their gear and like their ability to call for help,
Mm-hmm.
and then Cisco fixes their like communications thing, actually,
Mm-hmm.
because Ducat had been lying to him the entire time, and he loses his fucking mind. And like goes on this whole rant, but the entire time there's like these hallucinations of the hot lady who was in the polycule, Kira,
Right.
the one who was pregnant
Mm-hmm.
and had that other guy's baby, and a couple other characters where they're just coming in and like egging him on in like the way that like legitimate hallucinations would,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an absolutely fantastic episode.
Wow.
I just do not think there's a best episode of this show.
That's very high praise. To say that the quality is just so consistent.
Every single episode has been a banger.
Wow. Yeah.
There's an episode where Cisco, something happens to him, and he's like coma dream, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Is that he's this science fiction writer in the 1940s.
Oh.
And all of the characters, like all of the actors in the show, play human characters in this reality, which is very interesting. But then it's like, it talks about, the perception of particularly like black main characters and black authors in science fiction.
Wow.
And then at the end, it's kind of a like, well, what if we are the imagination? Like, what if we don't exist? What if this is an imagined reality in which, we have achieved equity?
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of did ruin the thought. Like, kind of felt like we're at the end of the Bronze Age. Catch my drift, but
Our age of bronze has ended.
yeah.
We also both watched The Odyssey and
And you don't need to hear our opinions about it because we need to be.
Yeah. Better, smarter people have already talked about why this movie sucks.
But we do know that the age of bronze has ended.
We broke Zeus's law.
The most Protestant rendition
It's fucking
of
crazy.
the Odyssey to ever exist.
Yeah.
I mean, bitches keep blowing up my line,
Oh,
and they need to stop.
who's bitches?
Other people in our department, but also my friend who's texting me about if I've ever made curtains. I assume making curtains you just sew a hem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like curtains are like one of those things that you can just look at other curtains and be like, I can do that.
Well, not everyone is like you.
But it's just you fold a fabric over so you have a hole for the thing to go through, and then you hem it. That seems very
Not everyone
obvious.
is like you.
But
I've also been reading this really fascinating essay about this guy who is autistic, but he was unaware that he was autistic, and then he started emulating Lawrence of Arabia, which feels a lot like what's happening right now.
to me,
Not everyone thinks like you, Lenny.
there are just certain things that I don't even realize are me assuming that everybody thinks like me, which I guess is not helping my case.
No, not everyone looks at garments and homewares and deconstructs how to make them in their mind.
What do they do?
I don't know. Do you want me to ask?
No.
But not everyone does that. Like, you're not the only person that does that.
No, yeah.
I also do that,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I was being texted
Right.
about how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And I also realized the other day I've been running on autopilot also.
Interesting.
Not full blown disassociation,
Mm-hmm.
that I woke up a few days ago and I was like, fuck. I had a bunch of stuff I had to do. That because it wasn't something immediately in front of me, I did not do it. In like June. It's August.
It is indeed August.
So that's gonna be fun. But the thing I have not neglected is reading the first 11 chapters of Tim Zahn's Specter of the Past, which was published in November of 97, as I stated at the beginning of the show, and is a Bantam book. And this duology is going to kind of round out, not that it'll round out our Bantam era, but it is kind of the end of the essential reading for New Jedi Order.
It's crazy.
So, after this, at any point, we might be hitting you with Vector Prime.
You won't know it's coming, but you'll know when it's happening.
Maybe.
Who knows? I can't wait for meat ships.
Yeah, they do got meat ships.
I'm so excited for meat ships. In this book? Or in
the next
NJO? And in the next book. Yeah. Okay.
A lot more normal.
I'm so excited for her. Okay, I'm gonna...
What if it starts raining again?
That would be very sad.
I almost moved in the rain on chaos.
That would be very sad.
Can't finish the episode. Louise is dead.
Oh, man. If you die in the middle of the episode, should I still edit it and publish it?
I don't know.
Alright, it's true. But I can't be like, this is what Louise would have wanted. Get it.
If you say that I light up a room, I will come back to life, beat your ass, and then kill myself again.
That's a sufficient threat. I will never say that about you because it wouldn't be true.
I don't light up the room I'm in.
It's like you're the human equivalent of the fog is coming.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's what I've gathered.
I see. Well, I, for one, people who are the human equivalents of the fog is coming light up my life, so maybe it's a circular logic. Anyway, moving on. Because I don't... It's plot overview time. It's been plot overview time. Anyway. Okay. I like that as we've gone along, I have simply given up on doing genuinely concise plot overviews. But it is what it is. And I feel like in this book, there's not a single thread that I wanted to be like, no, that doesn't matter. Because, especially since we're only reading the first half of it, I have no way of determining what actually does and doesn't matter in the end. Because I have not read the second half. Because if I read the second half, then I would get confused and start talking about the second half. Anyway, here's a summary of the first 11 chapters of Specter of the Past. I know. That's why I paused and I was like, oh my god, that was wrong. Okay, so, plot overview. It's 19 ABY and Supreme Leader of the Imperial Forces, Gilad Pelion, feels doomed. After overseeing a lackluster military exercise and reflecting on the state of the Empire relative to the New Republic, he decides to start the process of arranging the Empire's official surrender to the New Republic. Meanwhile, Han and Luke meet on the planet Ithigin to deal with a trade dispute between the Ishori and the Diamala. Luke is surprised to learn that the Diamala don't want him around because they find his Jedi powers deeply spooky. When Han and Luke are discussing how poorly the talks turn out to be going, they are pulled into dealing with a threat to Ithigin from pirates in space. These pirates are odd. Space pirates! These pirates are odd, however, as their ships have no insignia, which is unlike pirates' usual MO. Luke also senses a strange energy, much like the energy of the clones during Thrawn's campaign 10 years ago. Luke decides to track these pirates down because of the clone vibe he's getting. Leia, meanwhile, is getting some much-needed rest with her children on Wayland, where the Nogri have resettled. She is interrupted to mediate a situation that has arisen out of a Deveronian, Jack Litt, having been caught by some Nogri as he was trying to uncover some buried data cards. Among these data cards, one is labeled Hand of Thrawn, which is interesting. What is that? Who knows? In his attempt to escape, Jack Litt is stopped by the timely arrival of Talon Card and Mara Jade, but they agree to let him go. But upon closer inspection, it turns out that the data card that he had downloaded and read before he was stopped from escaping, reveals that a group of Bothans were involved in enabling the Kamasi genocide. This has the potential to be wildly destabilizing to New Republic political stability, as with the loss of a shared enemy, the New Republic has been struggling to truly unify, but the one thing people seem to be able to agree on is that they do not trust Bothans. Given the magnitude of this information, Card tells his people to keep a lookout for Jack Lit to try to stop him from passing along this information because of the risks that it poses. Meanwhile, Jack Lit has in fact been going around spreading the information about Bothan involvement in the Kamasi genocide, and he tries to sell this information to Talon Card's people, Shada Dukal and Mazik, but the joke's on Jack Lit, they were actually there to detain his ass for this very reason. Meanwhile, some factions within the Imperial camp are, God, I keep saying meanwhile so many goddamn times, but so many things are meanwhiling, because they're all happening at the same time. Anyway. This is true. More on that later. Simultaneously, some factions within the Imperial camp really are not into this whole surrendering to the New Republic business. Moff Jisra, in particular, is not a fan. After being informed by Gilad Pellaeon that this is going to be the Empire's new goal, Moff Jisra is in his quarters thinking about how he really doesn't want to surrender, and he also deduces that his aide, Major Tierce, is a formal Imperial Royal Guardsman with military tactical knowledge, and decides to spill the beans about the plan that he has been concocting for years to reignite the power of the Empire. This plan involves a human con man named Flim, painted blue, wearing glowing red contacts, pretending to be Grand Admiral Thrawn. Major Tierce quickly takes over the finer military details of the operation, much to Moff Jisra's chagrin. Meanwhile, Wedge Antilles, Tycho Selchu, and Wes Jansen run into Lando Calrissian on Morashim and uncover an old Imperial communication center, where they get news of an Imperial Star Destroyer chasing a Corellian Corvette over Morashim, looking like a theft and defection, from which they overhear parts of a transmission. It doesn't seem clear what exactly is going on, and it's unlikely to be a simple theft and defection, so Wedge and everyone bring this to General Garmbel Iblis's attention, and he plans on doing some more research about that. More on that later, maybe, I don't know. This thread was not picked up in the first half of this book. Anyway, Pellaeon, who's been suspicious of Moff Jisra's whole vibe, and also his ability to get starfighters in such high numbers, does some digging into his operations and uncovers some clear discrepancies in his financial reporting. Pellaeon has also confronted Jisra about this, making Jisra extremely anxious about his very real ties to the Kavrilhu pirate group and his very real embezzling and planned treason. Back in the New Republic camp, the Kamas document is being discussed by the New Republic Senate. Han returns to Coruscant to see Leia as he's waiting in her chambers, he fields a call from Talon Card. He lets Card know that Luke has been following the Kavrilhu pirate gang based on some of his Force vibes, so Card sends Mara after him since Luke is definitely getting himself into more trouble than he realizes. Moff Jisra has revealed his very own Grand Admiral Thrawn to a select group of military leaders, and using the fraudulent Thrawn's authority, orders 3 Star Destroyers to lie in wait using cloaking devices to keep themselves invisible over Bothaui, the Bothan homeworld. Luke goes pirate hunting in what seems to be brownface? He could use the Force to deceive people about his identity, but because of the way the Diamala didn't trust him, and because of a spooky vision he saw of the Emperor and Exar Kun, he's been trying to cut back on any unnecessary Force use. But this goes extremely poorly, and Luke learns that these pirates have a specially designed cage just for a Jedi. He very nearly dies, but Mara Jade shows up to save the day, just in time. During their escape, a strange ship passes by, broadcasting an odd transmission. On Dordolim, Disra's operatives foment a riot. They use Bith incendiary devices to get the New Republic to think that even the Bith, who are usually chill with everyone, are also aboard the Bothan hate train. In the wake of this riot and others like it, Leia and Borsk are informed of a petition demanding that Bothans pay reparations for the Kamasi genocide. Borsk failure reveals that this would bankrupt the Bothans, who are apparently cooking the books. Leia is sent to Bathui to investigate. Disra, Flim, the name of the con man playing Fraud Thrawn, and Tierce discuss how their little plan is going and realize that they need to make sure that the New Republic cannot get a copy of the complete Kamasi document Otherwise, the blossoming crisis will very easily be dealt with, as the proper parties can be reprimanded, punished, and so on. So, during this conversation, Disra and everyone are contacted by an enraged Captain Zothip of the Cavrilhu Pirates, who wants to know why the hell Luke Skywalker himself showed up at one of his bases, causing him to lose 2 good men and his best base. Tierce has Disra ask Zotip to send an attack on the Chimera with Corellian insignia on it, as a way to get him to calm down, and also it's a good idea to star problems. Yeah, that's basically their whole thing. Talon Card and his gang, they go to visit Booster Tarek aboard the Errant Venture, Booster Tarek's Star Destroyer, where he runs into Noir Aven, former Rogue Squadron member who now works on the Errant Venture. That's such a horrible sentence, but it's not that bad, who cares? Booster is being visited by Corran Horn and Mirax Tarek. Mara pulls up, being chased by a ship, the same kind of ship that was the one near Calrilhu's base, transmitting something to do with Thrawn, which prompts Corran to reveal that he was sent to Booster to ask about what the hell the Hand of Thrawn is. Based on the trajectory of the ship at the Calrilhu Pirates base, and the one they just encountered, they trace a possible location that these ships might have been coming from. And Card has Mara go follow up with this just to see what the hell this business with the Hand of Thrawn actually could be. And that is where we stop.
It's GTL brown face discuss.
What is GTL?
Gym tan laundry.
Gym tan laundry.
Mm-hmm. The answer is yes. But
yeah.
You look so confused.
I just don't, no one's telling me what it means. There's a podcast called Gym Tan Laundry. Okay, thank you.
I'm quoting, I don't remember which one of them came up with that, but I'm quoting the, actual original cast of Jersey Shore. A show which my mother hated that I watched and tried to get rid of MTV because she didn't want me to watch it.
Wow.
Gym tan laundry is just that. You go to the gym, you tan, and you do your laundry.
Oh, that's what I'm just trying to figure out. No one's explained that. They just keep, there are all these things that are just say gym, tan, laundry. So you just gym, you tan, you do your laundry?
Yes.
There's a New York Times article called Gym, Tan, Laundry. Discuss. It's talking about Italian-American culture in relation to Jersey Shore. I didn't know they were all Italian on Jersey Shore. I don't know anything about Jersey Shore.
Yeah, they're all Italian-Americans.
I got into an argument with somebody. You'll be able to guess. Maybe you won't. Who's to say? I love spreading the word about Providence Mayor Buddy Cianci because he's an icon. I was just trying to get the people I was with to read his Wikipedia article, and it was just a really interesting experience to be like, no, I understand that if you speak Italian, his last name should be pronounced Cianci. But he's Italian-American, so his name is pronounced Cianci. Them's the rules.
Also, we can talk about linguistic cleansing in Italy in the late 19th century. I won't, because I'm not super knowledgeable about it.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it happen in every other group.
And I was like, no. And he was like, no. And I was like, well, I know, you're not telling me anything I don't know. I know that CIs in Italian are cia. But I'm telling you.
And the standard Italian dialect that is spoken today, which comes from... God, I used to know which city's dialect was the equivalent of my German, but I cannot remember. I think a lot of the beef around this comes from the fact that a lot of Canadian and American dialects sound really similar. So, and most people who spoke a dialect in Europe are dead now. They've been successfully linguistically cleansed. So they just don't necessarily realize how varied English can be.
Yeah.
Spanish, well, Spanish not really, because Spanish is you have 35 countries that speak Spanish, and they're all to the direct south of us, but the different kinds of German, the different kinds of Italian.
Because I framed my argument as that if you just basically, all I just kept repeating was if you go to Rhode Island and start talking about Buddy Cianci, no one's gonna know who the fuck you're talking about. They're gonna be like, oh, do you mean Buddy Cianci? What matters here is the legibility of the communication that you're doing. But would have been really fun to be you're reifying the...
No, you're a fascist. You should start calling him a fascist.
That would be so much fun. I need to start doing that. According to Wikipedia, Italian is a standardized form of literary Florentine Tuscan, and together with Sardinian, is the least differentiated language from Latin. Yeah.
Because a lot of these bad boys went extinct or are very actively like going extinct.
Mm-hmm. It's according the linked thing in Wikipedia is going to the Encyclopedia Britannica.
I don't know how we check that.
I don't know either.
Because there hasn't been a native Latin speaker
In a long time.
in like at least 1600 years.
Yeah.
They're all close to Latin because they're all just different evolutions of Latin.
Yes.
My new favorite way to piss people off piss off little bots on my phone is whenever people start complaining about Americans, because a lot of it is how Americans do their dates.
Mm-hmm.
I just start going on rants about the ISO 8601 date standardization.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just start telling them that they're wrong. Or I'm like, no, the correct way is year, month, date, or all of these variations that have been standardized. And it's gotten people to shut the fuck up.
Hell yeah. I also don't understand, like, there are so many things that people, like, beef with Americans about that I just don't think are that deep, such as the order of dates. Because frankly, I mean, yes, I am American, so maybe it just makes sense to me. Like, my perspective is whatever, tainted by my habitus, but putting it month, day, year is fine, because when you're speaking, one tends to say, like, March 31st.
That is not the case in places
Where they just say, like, they would say 31st March.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They do that here.
They do that. Because I did get into an argument about this, and he was like, I feel like people, yeah.
You should just start
saying.
I don't want to know, because the correct way to do the dates, we figured it out. It's standardized. It's ISO 8601. I can send you the Wikipedia page. I also might be saying the number wrong, but it comes from like 8 different kinds of standardization of time.
It is 8601.
And we have returned from our glorious smoke week.
Glorious.
So, do you have any thoughts, feelings, or concerns about this book?
Yes. I really love how Moff Disra, Flim, and Major Tierce fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And it really reminds me, because I started re-listening to Lesser Evil, just because I wanted to. And...
Because you needed it. You needed something to listen to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really struck by how much Moff Disra et al.'s like whole vibe is pretty reminiscent of how much the Kilji and or General Arias Nakir and Jixtus the Grisk fucking hate each other too. It's just really fun when people have a shared goal but also really don't like each other. I enjoy that.
No, I think Zahn does that really well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Much better than people who like each other.
Yeah. There are very few sardonics in this book. I think I saw none.
Yeah, they follow.
Yeah. But there is a sarcastic on page 84 of the mass market paperback. And there's also, he still does find new words that he likes. The ones I noticed were the corners of people's eyes tightening, which I don't know what that means, but he uses it to indicate that, like, a slight shift in someone's facial expressions to indicate that they're, like, slightly uncomfortable. And then also people say things dryly, which I think is reiteration of sardonicness.
You say things dryly.
I do say things dryly. Also, yo is canon, which is fun. And I also had a little giggle when Mara's talking about whether or not Thrawn had a private political operator in the same way that the Emperor had her, because she was the hand of the Emperor, and so maybe the hand of Thrawn is someone similar to her. And then she says, Thrawn wasn't into the same kind of political manipulation that the Emperor was. And I was like, bad at politics. Also, I'm so fanfic-pilled that I can't stop thinking about these events from Pelion's perspective, as if, like, he and Thrawn had been lovers, where it's just sort of like, I was imagining sort of a story where, like, he had, like, heard whispers of Thrawn being alive, and then him being like, man, if Thrawn's alive, why the fuck did you not tell me? And then being angry and sad that this is not really Thrawn. But I'm sure someone else has written that.
Probably.
Yeah.
My my being fanfic pilled because of the glorious carousel. It's just constantly like, what is Clea Markey doing at this moment? Because one of the fics that she has going that I'm reading is Heir to the Empire rewritten. It's an entirely different story, but it takes place during the Thrawn crisis, so it like is following the same kind of events, like the same series of events as Heir to the Empire. And you've read some carousel fics.
Yes, I have.
They are Clea Markey Thrawn fics.
Indeed.
Which is a pairing that doesn't make a lot of sense, but is really interesting.
It is really interesting. I really like it.
So I'm like, I wonder what Clea Markey's doing right now.
Yeah.
Because also I think it's, I don't know if that one specifically is called No Greater Enemy, but it might be. But in that fic, it is like Clea interacts with a lot of these like EU characters that don't pop up in canon, quote unquote. Like my boy Garvel Iblis. You cannot start fucking with the yarn, Lydwina. We are doing something. I know we don't look busy. But yeah, so then I'm like, not in relation to Thrawn in any capacity, but just like, what is Clea doing right now?
Yeah.
Because I also just feel like, I realize that they are kind of the same character in a lot of ways. But I would love to see like Clea Winter espionage fics, because like Clea does not have the same kind of skills. Like, she's not. Nobody can be Winter Soldier. But like, I feel like their characterizations would complement each other really well. And then add Ayala in there for good measure, because I love Ayala.
That would be fun, because I feel like that would be a good trio, just because I feel like Ayala would sort of balance the sort of quiet power of Clea and Winter. Not that Ayala doesn't have quiet power, but I think in my head, she's a bit more...
brutish?
Yeah.
No. I mean, there are like ensemble fics. With like all of the, I don't know, it's weird to call them characters at that age, but like Leia, Winter, Mirax, Ayala, and maybe a couple other people. And I find those interesting because I like to see, because first of all, there's not a lot of direct interactions between Winter and Leia. At least in what we've read so far. Is like Winter kind of exists as this like periphery. My only real thought is I'm happy you brought up Lesser Evil, because this entire time I was reading these first 11 chapters, and by reading I mean a combination of reading the mass market paperback and
listening to the audiobook
and reading the ebook.
Oh.
Yeah, I was really being a jack of all trades in this one.
Yeah. Mostly
because I would like switch between reading it in bed and listening to it while I did the dishes and reading it on the metro. But it is a very like interesting kind of, I guess, the continuation of Thrawn's kind of arc from EU material to canon material, which I do realize the canon material is relatively recent, and it was the third thing we covered. But it was really interesting to kind of see where Zahn like picks those threads back up. And the last one I noticed was like when I think it was Mara was talking about how Thrawn was found. And it's like, oh, he was just found somewhere. It's a random fucking planet, which I found very interesting. And also kind of all the discussion of the unknown regions. Is I know it's not. What is the irony where you know it's happening?
Dramatic irony.
Dramatic irony, but it feels like dramatic irony. It's like, don't go there. Don't do that.
No.
Don't go there.
Yeah. No. Well, so the story that Mara is describing about how Thrawn was found was in the short story Mist Encounter, which was...
And that was adapted.
Yeah, it was like basically just refigured to make sense in the first canon Thrawn book.
Yeah, but it's like that chapter in Lesser Evil, which is basically just ripped from Outbound Flight, where it's really interesting to see how he has kind of navigated writing these two different continuities while creating a continuity of his own. That does, you know, there's nothing in the canon Thrawn books that really retcon like X-Wing. So this kind of like quote-unquote foundational reading before NJO can include the canon Thrawn books.
Yeah, especially if like all of the There are threats. There are threats that might be bigger than the Grisk.
We don't know.
Unspecific threats.
What could those threats be?
No one knows.
Well.
Except for...
I'm gonna go figure out.
Yeah.
You're never gonna hear from me again. Goodbye.
Farewell.
No, and it's very interesting as we kind of move farther into this, like, Zahn, Stackpole, Alston universe to see how these threads kind of connect with each other in a way that, like, other stuff just doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, no, because we had the introduction to the Kamasi in iJedi, which was neat. I don't know. I think this book stands on its own in terms of, like, describing the significance of the Kamasi, but it was nice to have that sort of introduction of, like, oh, this is what these people are like. This is what their struggles are.
No, no,
That
comes out after.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yes.
But still, reading it in chronological order in universe as opposed to chronological order of when the books came out, it's still...
I don't know, it's just, I was talking a couple weeks ago with you about how I don't give a fuck about canon.
Indeed.
And I don't. And I never will. What is this, Catholicism?
No.
Canon doesn't even matter in that shit.
No, it doesn't.
They scrapped the fun and cool books.
Yeah, they did.
And they reordered the Hebrew Bible. I mean, you can remake canon in your image.
Mm-hmm.
If that is your prerogative. I have my qualms with Dave Filoni, but I respect the grind, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've unfortunately gotten into squabbles against my will with people who, when talking about kind of EU literature, claim that it is...
Stop that.
I'm leaving that in.
Come, get out of here.
I'm leaving it in.
Good. Shut up.
We need to get her a mic. I don't think she's gonna yell into the mic though. No response.
She's rubbing her face on it, but she don't give a fuck.
No, but it is interesting to kind of see not only how these authors are working together, and obviously this is not the case for all canon material or Disney canon material or all EU, like Lucas licensing material. But you can have writers work together to create unified narratives. And you can have those narratives transcend the different canons, which is a more interesting way to have, like, the kind of, like, Legends continuity and the canon continuity, as if there is a lot of overlap.
Mm-hmm.
As, like, if there are a lot of plot points that are picked up, that it's like, oh, okay, well, if you're claiming that the kind of, like, old EU material is stories that are being told, narratives that are being extrapolated from not a lot of evidence, because that is, like, rationalization a lot of people have.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if you're gonna do that, then really the only way that works is if you just, like, if you hire people like Timothy Zahn to continue writing books and to continue picking up on these threads that he, had started writing about 30 years prior. And I just find it very interesting.
Yeah, no, because I was looking into that, because I was... God damn it.
It's windy.
It is windy. I was confused about...
It's not a big deal.
I just had to double check some stuff about the chronology of the Clone Wars / Clone War, just because of the chronology of when the Kamasi genocide happened. Girlfriend, what are you doing?
She wants yarn.
She does want yarn. God.
She'll just sacrifice the whole yarn.
Yeah, low-key.
She don't give a fuck.
She don't give a single fuck.
She don't care. She wants the bag and yarn.
Because that was evidently something I told her to do. She doesn't, therefore she has lost interest. Anyway, yeah, so, like, one of the things I read about in terms of making sense of the chronology of the Clone Wars in the old EU versus how it played out in You Fucking Whore. Making sense of how the Clone Wars were described as happening 35 years before the rise of the Empire in the old EU. And this is very different from what is portrayed in the prequels. So how the fuck does this make any sense? And one of the rationalizations that I saw was that, yeah, like, there's stories based on limited evidence, and also that the dating system wasn't standardized. So that, like, what is 35 years in some instances would be, there's a way to standardize and translate all of the different dating systems to make the chronology make sense.
It's called the galactic resynchronization, I think.
It is indeed called that. Well done.
Don't you hate me?
No, I love you.
Which, going back to my point,
Right.
ISO 8601 is the only valid way to write dates.
Lydwina agrees.
Lydwina agrees.
Yep. Yeah?
Well, there's also the thing. I don't care about George Lucas's vision. I don't think about that man at all. Which is funny, because we do a Star Wars podcast regularly, and very rarely am I like, oh yes, what does George Lucas think of this?
This never happens, yeah, no.
Mostly because I don't give a fuck.
Well, I also think, like, even though, like, we don't treat the, like, authors that we're reading now in terms of, like, thinking, like, oh, what do they think about these things? It's sort of more framed in terms of, like, the stories that they're putting out, but it's not necessarily a claim of them being, like, the definitive story. Because that's...
If you view the Star Wars canon through a post-structuralist lens, in which everything is just a narrative, whether that be fictional or historical or whatever, in the context of, you know, I guess, are we becoming freaks that care about the order in which things happen? And Star Wars.
I mean, does that contradict what you're saying about this post-structuralist lens?
No.
Yeah.
Are we becoming that? I'm just imagining if I need to make a straw man or not.
Make a straw man.
Okay, so the imagined guy that really gives a shit about the Star Wars continuity, I don't know, like maybe someone who managed the holocron or something.
Mm-hmm.
He is now not an imagined character. He's not imagined.
It's a real dude.
It's a real guy who is the light of my life and could never do any wrong. But if you look at these things through a post-structuralist lens, and you're like, okay, well, who is the definitive? There is no definitive narrative.
Yeah.
You know, all of these narratives, and not that I necessarily agree that we should write history in this way, but like all of these narratives kind of follow a similar, you know, there are dominant narratives in historical writing, there are minority narratives in historical writing, some people make shit up, it happens, but a lot of these things do get published, and, you know, what evidence is destroyed? I spent the entire fucking summer looking for this book that came out in 1926, and nobody in Quebec has it.
Damn.
It was uploaded to the Internet Archive under a different fucking title, and it's like a fucking goldmine of information. It is like a 200-page overview of the history of the Jews in Canada, and then it's like 700 pages of encyclopedia.
Nice.
That's hyperbolic. It's like a 600-page book.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a fucking goldmine of information, especially if you're studying the 1920s,
mm-hmm.
which is kind of like, you know, when Canadian perceptions of like immigration really, really kind of, they hit the brakes on them, and then, you know, then we get into the whole none is too many. But then if you look at later renditions of like historical writing on Canadian Jewry, what happens after World War II and the Holocaust? The idea that William Mackenzie King and his cabinet did not want any Jews to enter Canada supersedes the anti-immigrant sentiment of the 1920s. That doesn't discount the fact that there was. It is just like no longer the main
Mm-hmm.
source of the narrative. And it is no longer the dominant narrative. And, you know, all stories have an inkling of truth, even fictional ones, no matter what people say, whether it be thematic, moral, pulling from inspiration. I say as I'm watching the most X-Wing pilled Star Trek right now. Everything is just the Yugoslav Wars.
Yeah.
Because it's 1998.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, pulling from real-life events is A, inevitable, and B, is what makes a lot of speculative fiction interesting.
Yes.
Is I'm not someone who kind of wants the social conservatism of like a Project Hail Mary
Mm-hmm.
kind of book. Like I want weird shit. I sexually identify as an attack helicopter. Like I want like legitimate commentary on these real life events in a way that is almost absurdist.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting to see this play out here, especially when I've had so many conversations with people about how canon does matter,
Mm-hmm.
and how these things are completely separate and nobody needs to bother with shit. It's
No, because it's interesting. Like I was hopping around on Reddit while I was reading this. I don't know. I find it interesting just to see what people on, like, I just look up Specter of the Past Reddit and see, like, what posts have been made about, like, people are talking, because, like, someone made a post where they were like, this book, it, like, how important is it to anything? I'm finding it to be, like, a really slow start. Like, should I just keep plugging along? And some of the posts were like, yeah, like, no, just keep reading, you know, it might be a slow build, but, you know, he's presenting all of the threads, and the threads are all going to come together at the end, which I feel like is...
That's what he's been doing in every book he's written.
Yes. But then someone commented, like, oh, like, if you want to understand, like, whatever Star Wars is doing now, like, there's no real reason to read this book unless you have, like, a real scholarly interest in it, which is, I guess...
There are dozens of us.
Yes.
I don't even think there are dozens of us. I think there might be. I mean, I know a lot of academics that like Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything is just the Yugoslav Wars, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a good, like, 7 people.
Who
publish
about?
Star Wars.
Yeah.
And Chris Kenshaw kind of got, I don't know if poached would be the right word, but he's not writing histories anymore. I don't even know what you would characterize the rise and fall of the Galactic Empire to be. A pseudo-history of the imperial power in Star Wars? Like a pseudo-monograph? It's a monograph, I guess.
It's an in-universe monograph, yeah.
It's a fictional monograph.
Yeah, it's a...
Yeah, so I guess he got poached by Randomness Worlds.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's not... There are so many things, I feel like, that have so many different stories. Like, for example, with... People have just, like, different approaches to it, like, as a fan. Or, and how people relate to things as fans. And there's this sort of idea of there being, like, a specific goal that one has in terms of, like, what one reads and what one consumes, in terms of, like, what one participates in regards to fandom. You know, like, there are divides, I think, like in casual conversations I have had, where, like, for, like, this argument I had, like, last summer with this guy outside of a bar nearby about, like, the Ahsoka show and how I thought it sucked. And because I
watch the new season when it comes out next week?
Probably just out of sheer curiosity. That sounds fun.
So we're going to start the theatrical showings in February.
Of oh my god, 77.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're all arguing about this movie that's 55 years
old. Yeah. Yeah. No, but it's also just like, I don't know. I mean, like, you can, like, see this in, like, Marvel things too, where people, like, they sort of, like, create, like, this, like, oppositional identity in terms of, like, how much have you read? How do you know? Like, that sort of quantifies what authority you have to speak about things, which I think makes sense, because, like, the more you know, the more you know. But I also think
they're...
Indeed.
That man knows everything.
Yes, he is the holocron.
And there's... Hello, where's my bag? I lost my bag.
Which bag?
There's my phone in it.
That one?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Lenny.
Anytime.
It wasn't behind me.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I do have a lot of stuff and it blended in.
The light is off, and it's very cloudy out today.
It is true.
There was torrential downpour.
There was indeed.
And I learned that the windows at the library are not airtight.
Yeah.
And it was leaking inside of the thing.
That's crazy.
Who ran the holocron? You look up who ran the holocron. Leyland Shi.
Ah.
When did you start maintaining the holocron? Went by screen names Tasty Taste. And he maintains 2 other FileMaker databases. IndieCron Continuity for Indiana Jones and the LFL Cron for other Lucasfilm properties.
Oh.
Hello, Pablo Hidalgo. What is your job? He's a member of the story group. He created material for West End Games and content on StarWars.com. He's also the founding member of the Star Wars Fanboy Association.
Wow.
He served as the internet content manager for Lucas Online until 2011. And he managed and indexed he wrote and managed the Star Wars Index at Echo Station. They both know way more than we do.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah. No.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm just a dude.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be cool with the fact that you don't need to know everything.
Yes.
It's actually deeply weird. Unless they're actively paying you.
Yes.
Sorry, this is not very Specter of the Past build, but
no.
There's a lot of... Speaking of Pablo Hidalgo, also Canadian, there's a lot of similarities between the Star Wars canon and the Canadian canon.
Say more.
Pulled out of a guy's ass. in the mid-20th century.
Yeah.
That's the similarity.
That's beautiful.
They're tangentially related to Pablo Hidalgo. Basically the same thing.
Canada? Star Wars? I don't see a difference.
I love Irving Layton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I wonder how Pablo Hidalgo feels about Irving Layton. He probably had to read Irving Layton in school.
Probably, yeah. You should email him.
Hello.
Hello.
I have a Star Wars podcast, but I have an entirely unrelated question because I also study Canadian Jewish literature. How do you feel about Irving Layton?
Yeah.
And have you ever read A.M. Klein's The Hitleriad from 1944?
Please
which is the best poem that has ever, I would argue, that's ever been published in Canada.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an mock epic.
An epic.
Making fun of Hitler.
That's great.
It's like anti-Nazi polemic.
Beautiful.
Written in the style of like Renaissance poetry. It's fantastic.
That sounds really good.
It's so good. A.M. Klein, a visionary.
My advisor gave me the Sophocles 3 Theban plays. Antigone, Oedipus Rex, and Oedipus at Colonus. It's interesting because like I have a very like passive knowledge of like ancient Greek stories just from I went to a high school that really emphasized like classical education. I don't remember. Yes, essentially. And then I also started thinking about this more just because of the Odyssey, which is like ironic a bit, you know, that like what Emily Wilson was talking about, like, oh, it would be great if like people who start thinking about the classics more, you know, which I think
everyone should read The Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Yes.
That's not the classic she's talking about.
No, it's not, because the classics are the West and it's racist.
Also, everyone should read The Romance of the Three Kingdoms and also Ulysses. So you're reading the introduction.
Yes, and like because of my like research, one of the movies that I'm writing about for my thesis is a fucking weird ass retelling of Oedipus Rex. So I was like, damn, I know I recently watched this play, but it would be... And the introduction was really interesting just because it frames the like historical context that like the plays were coming out in like the production context and like how they were at like Dionysian festivals, they were competitions, and the correlation between Sophocles and everyone like writing these plays and their civic duties and their military duties, and also how the fact is that these plays were in interpretations of the pre-existing myths. So you didn't need to have seen Oedipus Rex to experience dramatic irony, because you know generally the story of Oedipus. And I didn't I knew that on some level, but like didn't like know it, you know? And because I feel like Greek myth and Greek stories like constitutes a canon, and all of these tragic and comic writers were using their contemporary 5th century Athens, you know, and we're using... Huh? Yes. Yeah. The warriors. Yes.
Why would anyone watch the Odyssey when the warriors exist?
The great question. Nobody knows. But, like, I feel like they were...
The Greek writers are navigating things.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are it sort of like reminds me of... And they're also like responding to each other and engaging with the same foundational stories in order to respond to the political conditions in 5th century Athens. And I was like, oh my God, it's Star Wars. Like, I mean, but it's not like Star Wars isn't like special in this way, is all I'm trying to say. Like, and I know that's not what you're saying, like, because the point that you made with, like, you know, this is basically just the Canadian canon. But I feel like it's just...
That's the thing, is
yeah.
Canons are so arbitrary.
Exactly.
It's like people think of it like what canonical literature is. I mean, the fact that, and mind you, I have read the New Testament once in my life, and I was a child, and it was out of a Precious Moments Bible, and I don't really remember what happened, because Jesus has never made sense to me, so I just ignore it. But like, even if you're looking at the canon of the Hebrew Bible, it's a fucking miracle that made it as far as it did, and only made it as far as it did because, you know, we have several groups who either are descendants of the original ethno-religious group, which used to be a very, very, very common thing to have. There used to be thousands of them. And you have 2 universalist religions that adopt either a reorganized version of the Hebrew Bible, or they adopt the stories themselves. And Muslims, when you look at, like, who is Ishmael's brother? Is it Isaac?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when you look at Islam as kind of like a foundational myth and philosophy, because that's all religion is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really. You can believe in God, you cannot believe in God, it really doesn't matter. They view themselves as being descended from Ishmael.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have this different reinterpretation of a group that views themselves as the descendants of the other lineage,
Mm-hmm.
like of Hadar, instead of
Sarah.
which is interesting. But also, I think when a lot of people complain about franchising, they do not realize that, like, while we made up a new word for it, the concept of a franchise, as you have noted with these Greek plays, and as you could really hammer in with, like, Dante and Paradise Lost.
Mm-hmm. His Dark Materials trilogy, which is a reinterpretation of that story.
Lamb,
Mm-hmm.
which is technically more about Jesus.
Mm. Yeah.
Getting ahead. But
Word.
But then it's okay. So you have Lamb, which is a book by Christopher Moore, which is, written as the gospel according to Jesus' childhood best friend, as opposed to the gospels according to a bunch of guys that revere Jesus as a god.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if you look at the tonal differences between those things, even though Jesus is still, in that context of this fictional work, the Messiah,
Mm-hmm.
The way that he interacts with characters is much different because... But yeah, like, the kind of, like, franchising has always existed, and fanfiction has always existed, and foundational myth is just foundational myth.
It's interesting. I don't know what it is, though. What it is about, like, the idea of franchising that, like, has this sort of sense of being so dominant that you can't ignore it or can't negotiate with it,
See, but what are we doing here if not negotiating with a franchise?
That's exactly what we're doing. But, like, think what our approach is not unique by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not mainstream.
It's the way that people, like, engaged with Christianity.
Yeah.
Like,
it's,
and
yeah.
not to compare Star Wars to the Christian canon, like, I realize that people a lot smarter than we'll ever be, who lived through a lot more terrible things than we ever will, probably. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Things are getting
The world
weird.
is on fire. We're due for, like, a super volcano
Any
which
day
will
now.
probably block out the sun. It's kind of given a Justinian summer. Gone is the hot girl summer. Welcome back, the summer of Justinian. Last happened in, was it 583 CE?
Not gonna lie, I don't know what a Justinian summer is.
Well, so there's this... Do you know what the Black Death was called before it was the Black Death?
No.
The Justinian Plague.
Word.
Do you know what else happened?
536?
536. So, you know what else happened in 536? The apocalypse for people in Northern Europe.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
so,
what they're
like,
doing now.
Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah, they're fucked.
Welcome back to where is Justinian? But yeah, which is, like, a really interesting kind of cyclical thing I was thinking about this morning when I was watching the Joe Scott Answers with Joe video. Because I have been vindicated in my opinions to ignore Hank Green largely for the last 20 years and instead get all of my science communication from a guy that did at one point kind of stand Tesla, but only because they were the only people making
Electric vehicles.
electric vehicles in North America. And he was talking about how humans will one day just be seen as a mass extinction event in the same way that we look at the bacteria from the Great Dying and, like, the oxygenation, which is cyclical in kind of the same way of 536, where there is a volcano that erupts. I think it's in, what is now, Iceland? Blocks out the fucking sun. Almost everybody in Scandinavia starves to death. This results in people who live in Northern Europe converting to Christianity, like, for real, and developing written language, which means that they start writing down all of their oral history, which is very fantastical because we're talking about, and they're writing it through a Christian lens. Because now these people are all Christian because they experienced the apocalypse. And, similar things happen when you have really significant population decline in the Americas with the Columbian Exchange, and then the subsequent, like, 86 genocides that happened from that, which is fascinating. Sorry for going on a rant. Back to canon.
Yeah.
And franchising. I think the reason that people think that it's a problem is because the other things that we could consider to be franchises, which I might get in trouble for saying this, is religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, capital R religion. It's like, if you look at the Christian canon, that is a franchise.
Yes.
If you look at, like, the concept of a hadith,
Mm-hmm.
that is, to a certain extent, a franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are tracing your legitimacy back to, like, the original source material.
Mm-hmm.
You are extrapolating on things in that original source material, and you are, like, spreading your ideas within this kind of larger canon. And then Judaism as well, but Judaism is very regimented in how it does it. So it both maps on more closely than any other major religion, although is a religion with only 2% of the, you know.
Right.
It's only a major religion because of the universalist religions that decided that they liked the ideas.
Mm-hmm.
But it is both closer and farther away from, like, what we consider to be a franchise.
Yeah.
Because a franchise needs to be universal,
Mm-hmm.
and Jewish commentary is not.
Mm-hmm.
We're in, like, Christian theology and Christian, you know, the idea of the university as it exists in the Christian world is for, quote-unquote, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone should become Christian.
Right.
And then the same thing kind of happens in Islam, because Islam is a universalist religion that is predicated on the understanding that, like, Muhammad is right.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone either will realize this,
Mm-hmm.
subconsciously or consciously, and when they realize it consciously, they need to convert to Islam. But we have killed God. And now Star Wars has taken its place. Thank you, Liza.
I can't tell if you would like the His Dark Materials trilogy.
Probably not.
Why not?
Because I find Reddit atheists to be really annoying.
Mm.
And I know that he's a Reddit atheist, which is why I've never read it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is a Reddit atheist?
A very, like, militant atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that boring.
I also find it boring. What's interesting is, though, like, I
think you can engage with agnosticism and atheism in a way that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I find that most white men do not.
Yeah. No. What's interesting, though, is that, like,
Because I think if someone kills God, it's a big deal. Even if God doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
Or not to bring up, wow, we have really gotten off base.
Yeah.
Sorry, welcome to Louise and Lenny's really shitty philosophy hour.
Yeah.
So I was watching the episode of DS9 where Worf, who
Mm-hmm.
you have seen in several episodes because
Yes.
he's also in The Next Generation, and Dax, the, like, very interesting gender things going on there
Mm-hmm.
person, where they get married, and it includes the Klingon wedding rites.
Hmm.
And I sent them to Leo because they went hard as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
We will get back. So one part of this is, and the gods knew that they had erred, so they went back to their forge and brought forth another heart. But the second heart, and there's direction in this. The second heart beat stronger than the first, and the first was jealous of its power. Fortunately, the second heart was tempered by wisdom. And the bride replies, "If we join together, no force can stop us." And then it continues. When the two hearts began to beat together, they filled the heavens with a terrible sound. For the first time, the gods knew fear. They tried to flee, but it was too late. The Klingon hearts destroyed the gods who created them and turned the heavens into ashes. To this day, no one can oppose the beating of two Klingon hearts. Which, like, I feel like if you are talking about killing a deity within, like, a story, like a narrative, that unfortunately has to be a big deal.
Yeah. No.
It's like it needs to be incorporated into things, and I feel like most militant atheists, because they want to talk about killing God, but they don't understand the repercussions of killing God, which is like, how do you get back? They didn't replace God with anything, and now everyone here is weird as fuck.
No. He does replace God with something.
Okay.
And he also, like, when...
Is it Star Wars?
No. It's basically the concept of... Because it's interesting. It's like, I have only, like, skimmed the last book. Like, I have finished the second book, and now I'm on to, like, actually reading the last book. But in my incomplete memory, the replacement of God is, like, is stories and caring for each other on an intimate level, which is basically Christian theology.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like really, this is what I find really interesting, and this is why I did not clock that Philip Pullman, but listen to me, this is why I did not clock when I first read these books that Philip Pullman was an atheist, because like, this is not atheism. This is agnosticism. You're stupid. So like, I just don't internalize that the man is an atheist, because I just read the books through my own worldview, which is like, I don't really care, like God might exist, God might not exist. What does matter is like this idea of like, we can create, because there's also like very deeper heavenly ties through care for one another. You know, like that is not necessarily something that like there's proof for, but it's interesting to think about. And like, there's also a very like strong belief in the soul in these books, which like is not atheist, you know? So like,
Yeah.
but
No, but
he is an atheist.
like,
Yeah, but I disregard the canonicity of Philip Pullman's atheism, because it's not.
Okay. So he's a Christian atheist.
Yeah, he's Quebec.
Well, no, those are Catholic atheists.
You're right. Those are different indeed. He's an Anglican atheist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess would be like the quote-unquote closest thing to like true atheism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the other thing too is that like he's a huge like William Blake stan, and William Blake was not an atheist.
Well, that's the thing, is like we're interacting with all of these kind of canon ideas at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and like even by saying that you're not like that's still a negation is a acknowledgement. Yeah.
Which goes back to the whole idea. First of all, it doesn't matter if Thrawn is dead or not.
No.
You can have, which is maybe the reason that people don't like franchises is because when things actually are written out of, I'm going to use Christianity specifically. I don't know if it works the same in Orthodoxy, and my understanding of like historical Catholic academic pursuits is pretty limited, I will admit. But to like legitimately decanonize something, you either need a papal bull or you need a bunch of guys in a university who are like, this is categorically false.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the two. That's how texts get decanonized.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you can decanonize a person.
Are you saying that in response to me saying I decanonized Philip Pullman's atheism?
No. I mean, like, I don't know if you can decanonize someone who has been canonized.
Oh.
Like, if you can I don't think you can decanonize a saint.
Mm.
I don't think that's allowed.
Like, literally allowed, or like it just doesn't physically happen as long as there are people sitting there praying to that saint?
To become a saint,
you have to,
you have to have performed a miracle.
Indeed.
So then they have to prove, and mind you, you cannot become a saint until after you are dead.
Yes.
So they would have to prove without a shadow of a doubt that you did not do a miracle, which would then put all of the other saints' legitimacy in question. So I don't know if it's like a legitimate thing or not, but
mm-hmm.
it seems unwise at the very least.
Yeah. No, it's sort of the engine of the whole thing.
Yeah. But so you have to engage with these, like, I know I'm going to switch from talking about Christian canon to talking about Jewish canon. I'm noting that so everyone knows. When you're engaging with things, especially when you're engaging with like Talmud and kind of commentaries upon commentaries, and then you get to like Maimonides and more recent stuff, like you have to engage with all of these people that came before you.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at a page of the Talmud, it looks kind of batshit. It's a very interesting way to organize things because everything is very standardized, so you know exactly who you're reading
mm-hmm.
Of the sages. And then, you know, you have complementary like materials that will tell you where on. Great system.
Mm-hmm.
Really confusing looking if you don't know what you're looking at.
Right.
But those guys are interacting with each other. Because they're all writing around the same time after the expulsion, like, to Babylonia. And they're either like writing in what is then Judea
mm-hmm.
or in Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody after them for like 2,000 years is like, well, I have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say my piece. So then everything just keeps building on each other. So it's like nothing ever really gets
decided,
decanonized in that regard.
Right.
Which I think would be a much more interesting way to deal with franchise, even if it is like an entirely fictional medium and not a philosophical medium.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, so like with that, like that perspective of like everything is just built on each other and like nothing is necessarily like it's all just a conversation.
Yeah, everything is just a conversation. And that's what's happening now.
Yes.
And you can see in more. We have Dave Filoni to thank for this. Shout out Dave Filoni, I guess. It's the first time I've ever said that. is he is responding to things that he read, which, for better or for worse, this is what happens when you get Star Wars fans to make Star Wars. And Tony Gilroy, by refusing to engage in Star Wars in any capacity, is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And had a mighty fine crew to put in all of those details. But he is having a conversation. Like, you can see parts of Rebels in which Dave Filoni is attempting to have a conversation with Timothy Zahn. Mm-hmm. Does it work or not? I don't know. I am neither of those dudes. I will still be 26 when this episode is released. But I am almost a 27-year-old. I got no skin in the game there.
Yeah.
But if Lucas licensing, I can write philosophy. I can muse.
You amuse me.
Fuck you. Sorry, this is the bulk of what I wanted to talk about today.
Is that what you texted me about?
These were the thoughts I was having yesterday. Where I was like, this is really interesting to see, like, kind of how Zahn canonizes himself.
Yes.
And how Zahn is having conversations with himself from 30 years prior, but is also having conversations with Kevin J. Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Or when you look at, like, A.C. Crispin is having a conversation with Brian Daley. Mm-hmm. Brian Daley is dead by the time the Crispin books are being written. And, like, that's the fun. That's the fun part of canons. That's the fun part of literature. You read these things and you're like, oh, you're calling this person out. Mm-hmm. Who wrote this thing either 20, and not that A.C. Crispin is calling out Brian Daley. Mm-hmm. She seems to very much admire the Han Solo Adventures. But in kind of like a meta way. Like, you are hearkening back to this earlier thing, whether it be Brian Daley or St. Augustine or, God, I can think of a sage, Rashi. You are having conversations with these guys, and like that is the meat of being alive. But maybe the problem with the franchise is that it feels too contained.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like people can like thoughtfully engage with things that were.
It feels like nationalism.
Well, those are two peas in a pod.
Yeah. But it's just sort of like this idea that, like, because something has been iterated as a contained thing, it is therefore impossible to view anything that came before that contained thing as either not. It's like, you can't. Everything that is before the nation has to be renegotiated through the lens of the nation. Everything that is.
I mean, all of these things are being constantly renegotiated.
Yeah. Like, the Greek national identity changed between 1821 and 2026.
I sure would hope so.
Yeah. But like
things have changed in the world. You can't just exist as like the antithesis of the Ottoman Empire in 2026.
No, you cannot.
I mean,
you can still beef about the Aegean Sea, but
you could. It'd be really funny, but I don't think anyone would take you seriously.
You should see some Instagram comments.
You have to at least start beefing with Turkey.
Yeah.
And not the Ottomans. All that to say, I think Zahn does the really meandering thing I just explained very well.
Yes.
And does it across several canons.
Mm-hmm. And it's also cool, like, I think that's one of the reasons why I was like, what's going on in the canon Thrawn books? Is just to, like, look for things that are, like things that he's putting forward in this book that, like, he ends up actually, like, picking up again. Yeah. In, like, not only, like, a different continuity, but also, like, in a different, like, part of the galaxy, too. And,
50 years earlier.
Yeah.
60 years earlier at that point.
Mm-hmm. No. Because the one thing that people can agree on about Senior Captain Mithron Naruto or Grand Admiral Thrawn is...
God, you're fucking annoying and you do not know how to interact with people.
That, and also, let's make a conspiracy. Conspiracy? Conspiratorial
I think
thinking.
Someone should have given Thrawn an etiquette book.
Yes.
I think he would have gone so far.
Yeah.
Or let him read Lawrence of Arabia.
That would be a different story.
Referring to the Substack article I'm currently reading.
Which is...
How to Stop Worrying and Love the Mask. But then he also, in that guy's Substack article, I think it came out a couple weeks ago, but in 2026, he's engaging with things like the Seven Pillars and Lawrence of Arabia, and also Christian theology, because he was raised evangelical.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, everyone's still having these conversations.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating, first of all.
I would also like to point out that I feel like somehow this conversation also relates to our problems with the Odyssey.
Yes.
Yeah. But I will not say how.
Well, and then if you look at this in the context of the Warriors, it's like, make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Make me want to engage with the media.
Yeah.
Because
No.
I am so anti, quote-unquote, content consumption. I do not consume content. I engage with things. Because that is the base of literacy.
On that note, would you like to engage with this text after we have a little break?
It's already 3 p.m.
Are we done?
No. I just said 3 p.m.
I know.
Are we done? It'd be really funny if we just ended it right.
Let's engage with this text. Peace.
See you next time. We're gonna
Talk about the second half of this book.
or the first half.
Or the first half.
Sorry for going on my rant.
I liked it.
It makes me seem like I think that I'm better than everyone else. Which I don't. I'm literally just a dude. And well, I have recognized at some point over the past 26 years that not everyone thinks the way that I do. This book.
Yes, you were. No, but I was just trying to think of a... I wasn't knocking what you said. I was just trying to...
Joking. Oh my god.
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
Emily Post's etiquette.
Is that how bad I am?
I don't think it's bad.
Oh.
I don't know if there's a section on jokes in Emily Post's
Oh,
etiquette.
okay.
I don't think you got that joke either.
Okay.
You know what I get recommended on the social medias I'm still on?
What?
I get Anthropic ads because I'm in the tech subreddits.
Word?
And, yeah, I think that's it. They're just like, you're in Home Labs. Did you know you can use Claude for your Home Lab? Which, no, I can't. It doesn't work.
Like, dance is a good way to exercise.
Oh, no, I think she's doing pole, and she, like, has the muscle
For it, yeah.
for it, yeah, like... Unfortunately, this needs to be cut out, but as someone who is friends with people who that is their fucking job,
Mm-hmm.
which is very interesting in and of itself, because I don't think it's always been like this, because I had friends before I moved here, before, like, kind of gym bro mentality infiltrated
Pole?
pole,
Mm-hmm.
in which, like, yes, the women I knew when I was in college that did it, they were very, very, very fit.
Mm-hmm.
But now they look like gym rats.
Yeah.
Trap's fucking crazy. Where, like, they almost look like bodybuilders.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, like, a very interesting shift from the kind of, like, women I knew in college that did pole would do a lot of Pilates.
Mm-hmm.
Because they, like, wanted to have the muscle mass but have it be streamlined.
Mm-hmm.
No shade. And there are other types of dance.
Yes.
And those classes are probably cheaper.
Yeah.
And, like, salsa is as intensive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, learning how to waltz is also, like, as, like, these...
I would love to know how to waltz.
There are classes here.
Yeah, I know.
I know there's a swing group that I'm, like... I used to do swing.
Nice.
Like, in college. It's fun. It's a great time. It is a fucking workout.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with, like, most kinds of dance that are ballet or pole depends on if you're doing it explicitly for exercise or if you're doing it as a job.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing it explicitly for exercise, normally you aren't wearing heels. But most types of dance,
Mm-hmm.
you have to wear heeled shoes, which makes it a lot more difficult because you have to build the muscle groups so far as you're wearing 4-inch heels.
Yeah.
All the time. And it takes, like, a lot of effort to not fuck up your calves really bad.
Yeah.
Because you're building muscle when your foot is extended.
Mm-hmm.
Which is also a problem a lot of runners have. Okay, back to Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Okay.
Who do you think would be into pole in Star Wars?
Mara Jade.
You're right. That was, yes. And Mirax, but Mirax really gives the vibe of someone who does it as a job.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I do that.
Mm-hmm.
where Mara's like, oh yeah, I need to go to my pole class
Mm-hmm.
really loudly at the coffee shop.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In her cat suit. No, but it is cool. The Ottawa PWHL team is going to be playing in the same building as the men's team this season, which is pretty swag. Because, like, yeah.
They sell out the stadium?
Hmm?
They can sell out the stadium? Or sell out the...
I'm not sure, but
Because normally they put you in arenas based on
how much you can sell, yeah.
how much you can sell, yeah.
No, because I was at, like, Victoria, like, has a pretty dedicated fan base, but, like, I went to game 1 of their playoff series against the Ottawa team. The Ottawa Charge, that's what they're called. And it was a playoff game, and it was not sold out. But
No,
that's because...
Second?
Third
season?
Yeah. No, they'll get there. But, like...
I have a commemorative Habs loonie.
Oh my god.
Sitting on my desk from 2008.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I give you $1 for it? Okay.
It's there for a reason.
What's on... Where is it?
It's literally just the logo.
Mm-hmm.
And it just says 1908.
Nice.
I haven't spent it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when I get money that is from my birth year.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't spend money that
Mm-hmm.
was made in 1999.
Nice.
It's a really good way to save money.
Mm.
It's very hard to do in Canada because they changed the bills after I was born. But
Tough. Yeah.
my entire American savings is cash money from 1989.
That's beautiful.
So, Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Mara Jade does poll.
Mara Jade does poll. And she doesn't like it that people ship her with Luke Skywalker. I have no notes about Mara Jade.
I feel like she's more important later.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that, like, there's this one-off thing, you know, because, like, she and Luke, like, people are, like, talking, you know, like, people around Mara, people around Luke are, like, talking to both Luke and Mara about each other. But they seem to be sort of, like, holding each other at, like, a cold distance, which is interesting. And then, like, when Mara shows up to, like, save Luke from the pirates, she is, like, thinking to herself, like, that she's, like, read all about the amazing things that Luke has done. And she was like, I can't believe that's this guy that I just had to fucking save from fucking a pirate nest. Like, you killed the Emperor. Like, you had your... Yeah, like, this is the guy? This can't be the guy. That's ridiculous.
I believe that my entire existence for several years was killing this man. And he gets trapped in a conundrum every, like, 3 weeks.
Literally. And I have to save his ass? That's crazy. What's interesting is that, like, the central, like, thing, the inciting incident that drives a lot of the decision-making in this book is the discovery of is it the Kamasi document or the Kamas document? Or the Kamas? Ka'amas document.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the core thing.
Yeah, it has its own Wikipedia page, the Ka'amas document crisis.
Everything has its own Wikipedia page.
Yeah, it does. Ooh, on r/Star Wars EU, people say that the Ka'amas document is a MacGuffin. I mean, yeah, that's just, everything's a MacGuffin. All the time.
This is fucking Star Wars.
Yeah, everything is just a reason to get people to do things.
Quite literally in the narrative.
Is a MacGuffin because it doesn't... It's literally the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the Millennium Falcon.
No, those are actually the same thing.
The Millennium Falcon and the Maltese Falcon?
Yeah.
Shit.
Sorry you didn't know that until right now.
Gotta rewatch the Maltese Falcon. Look for clues that I missed. Look for clues.
You didn't see the
Little tiny Millennium Falcon inside the Maltese Falcon.
It was just there the entire time.
The Maltese Falcon's like the word of God. Always existing. It's just really interesting, like, the way that this is set up. Where when Kamas is talked about, they're, like, I don't know, it's almost like a perfect quasi black and white situation in the perspective of the general New Republic mentality, it seems, where, like, everybody loves the Ka'amas, which
They love
the idea of them.
Ka,
Yes.
and they love to invoke
them in order to revile the Bothans. There is a lot going on here. So it's interesting because like we only get a perspective of the Ka'amas through the perspective of the people in the present who are
using the Ka'amas as a way.
Yeah. Or even people who aren't necessarily using the Ka'amas as a way to, scapegoat the Bothans. It's like Leia's internal description of it being like the attack had been sudden and thorough with a viciousness that made it stand out even against the widespread devastation of the Clone Wars that had preceded it. So it's constructed as this like moment of violence that is even more extreme than the violence of the Clone Wars, and that like there's something genocide. Yeah.
Well, and also we already kind of made the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
The Holocaust, but like when you talk about World War II, because I am a firm believer in discussing the Holocaust and World War II as a single event.
Mm-hmm.
They can have different names because you're referring to different parts of the events. We don't. Operation Barbarossa is a part of World War II and is a part of the Holocaust and is its own thing entirely. But a lot of people really like to make the distinction between World War II and the Holocaust. Not to get on my what is a narrative and foundational myth thing again. But when you're looking at the way that, especially Anglophone countries, talked about World War II during the war, even though they all were aware, because of like the Polish government in exile in the UK, that the Holocaust was happening and that they were rounding up hundreds of thousands of Jews in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
Is they realized, but in most of these Anglophone countries, the populace did not give a single fuck about what happened to the Jews. When you look at places like Canada, a lot of the population was like openly hostile to the Jews that were already here. Things like the Social Credit Party and nativist parties in the United States. So it is very interesting, this like, if this is the same thing, where hindsight is 20/20, now you can categorize these things as two different events. Because it is like politically speaking, for you to, and at least in the real life cases, absolve your own guilt for not doing anything and not accepting refugees and not doing this, that, and the third. To consider them two different events, one of which you were not involved in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where?
What I was thinking when I was reading. They were like, it's entirely separate. There were no, because it's like pretty shortly after how wars work.
Mm-hmm.
Wars don't
just end.
I mean, they do sometimes, but even when you have an armistice, like that armistice is, you could argue, the war ended a lot earlier than it did.
Mm-hmm.
Japan was cooked by May of 1945. Yes, they didn't surrender until September, but they were fucked 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
The war was over.
Mm-hmm.
They were going to have to, which is an interesting way to look at this.
Yeah. So I guess there's like, because the Kamasi genocide is sort of like separated from both the Clone Wars and from the Galactic Civil War in this narrative. It's this thing that happened before the Empire became the Empire. It was because they refer to it as, it was that that Palpatine perpetrated this genocide, and it's also seems to be unclear as, I don't know, like,
it's kind of getting right on fire.
Yeah. But it's not necessarily like he didn't like use the Kamasi genocide as like justification for his own, or they don't say that he used it for his own consolidation of power, but the Ka'amas are constructed as this group that would not have stood for what Palpatine was doing, and that's why Palpatine had to destroy them. And so it's sort of like the loss of Ka'amas is sort of constructed in many people's minds as the sort of like the turning point that led to the empire. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why the revelation of Bothan involvement in the Ka'amasi genocide is, it's not just that they did that's a bad thing to do. It's also that like it's not just Ka'amas.
Yeah.
Ka'amas becomes a symbol for every other conflict that
until Ka'amas genocide loses on you.
Yeah.
So you're invoking the Ka'amas genocide because people are disagreeing with you on the HoloNet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and then
Not to say everyone does that.
no, but it happens. And then there's also, but it is also interesting, there are some people who are indifferent to this news. Like we have like the scene of Mazik and Shada Dukal learning this news from Jacqueline, who meets them because he wants to sell them this information. And Shada and Mazik are unaware of the fact that the reason they are there is to prevent Jacqueline from spreading this information. They just know that they are there on the instructions of Talon Card to bring him in to Talon Card.
You tell your entire organization.
Then they're gonna, yeah.
Then they're gonna start yapping.
Yeah. But it's just funny because Mazik tells Shada, oh, well, no, I know we're supposed to bring Jacqueline in, but why don't we just hear what he has to say first? Because you never know, this might be useful information to us in the long run, you know? Figure out ways to flip whatever potential conflict or what, like, thing we learn for... They're playing the markets, yeah. It's just interesting, like, the contrast between Mazik and Shada, because, like, Shada, she seems to be at war with herself for what her job is, because she doesn't like that everything they're doing is for profit. And after Mazik and Shada, they get Jacqueline, they're conversing with each other, and Mazik is like, oh man, too bad the information that he brought us is fucking useless. Who's gonna care about this genocide that happened 50 years ago? And then Shada, meanwhile, is, like, shaking with rage because her own planet was also destroyed. And I thought that was just a really interesting way to just sort of, like, on, like, a very small scale, demonstrate the different ways that people relate to historical news. And also a way to illustrate why exactly it is that news of Bothan involvement would be so impactful to the wider populace. Because it, like, to be completely frank, I was trying to think about, like, if there was something that, if I, like, learned of a group having been involved in an atrocity, like, would that make me change my perspective on that group as a whole? You know, is there any one thing? But then I was like, oh, well, I can't answer that at all because I have never witnessed an atrocity. I've never, like, everything is, this is too different from my life and my material experiences to, like, articulate any kind of understanding of what makes sense and what doesn't.
I found it interesting, that scene specifically. I think I kind of spending trips on I studied 20th century Germany, so you do engage with the Holocaust quite a bit, and I think, and this is a perception a lot of people have, but there's not a single genocide that its prevention would have prevented all of the other genocides that have happened. So, and I'm not saying that there's, you know, no reason to be angry, and I understand that it can bring up, like, a lot of
Painful memories, strong emotions.
I would maybe, not blame an entire group of people for the actions of, like, 7 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you get a genocide in the fucking first place.
Yes.
Like, that's how that shit works. If you look at fucking Cambodia,
Mm-hmm.
which is a classicide and not a genocide. It's like you find someone that you can throw under the bus, and then you use that person as an excuse to take out their entire group. And that in and of itself is not healthy. And I found it really interesting that he chose to go that way, actually. In a, like, oh, well, my planet was also destroyed. I mean, if you subscribe to a multiverse theory, yes, I guess there is a universe in which all of these things did not happen, both individually and as, like, a collective, but, or maybe not, I don't know. But it is a very interesting way to talk about how people engage with other atrocities in comparison to, like, what has happened to their group.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
every group kind of does, like, the Armenians deal with it differently. The Jews who deal with it differently, and the Uyghurs and the Cambodians and, you know, Rwanda as a country and South Africa as a country and indigenous people in the Americas. I guess I should also mention Gaza.
Yeah.
They did mention Gaza there. That was on purpose. And like everyone kind of navigates these things very differently.
Mm-hmm.
None of whom take this stance.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
Yeah.
So I guess I just found it to be an interesting stance.
Yeah.
Like the people who take this stance are the people that live in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like the white girls in Chicago.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but it's really interesting because the way that she's not, I can't speak for everyone who is a descendant of someone whose people had atrocities committed against them, and I'm not a descendant of any of those groups.
Mm-hmm.
But where you see this is what used to be Twitter.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Blue Sky. And it's not people who live in those places.
No.
A lot of times there's a lot more stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's usually not just like a blanket. Usually groups who are victims of genocide realize that not every, even when damn near every single person of the in-group
Mm-hmm. Buys into it.
was at least complicit, if not actively participating in genocide. Like you can't blame their children and their grandchildren.
My great uncle Mike left Asia Minor because of the population exchange in 1923 from the Lausanne Treaty, and like.
Are you gonna hate every Turkish person?
Definitely not. You know.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because I was like talking. I didn't know that until like 3 months ago that a relative of mine, it makes sense. Was population exchanged. Because like one of the responses to like having a family member who had like. Bro, I'd be fucking Turkish, bro.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
We sound like podcast bros.
We do. But no, I wouldn't be Turkish because my he was. Like I think he had married into I don't know exactly the relationship that Uncle Mike had because like he's dead. Yeah. And
he was relocated in a population exchange.
Yeah.
After the collapse of the Ottoman Empire.
Yep.
Back to my previous point earlier. You cannot still be mad at Ottomans. They don't exist anymore. Indeed.
The thing is like this is like a thing like my dad is of the generation that like a lot of like the Greek people he knew people who had experienced that. But because of the way my dad experiences his Greekness because of growing up in the 60s and 70s, assimilation is the name of the game. But also one of the names of the game in terms of being related to people who've experienced an atrocity is just to not fucking talk about it. Ever. Ever.
You get your ass beat if you mention it.
Yeah.
The only people who are allowed to bring it up are people who developed like psychosis because of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking about the 60s and 70s. Most of those people were institutionalized anyway.
Yeah. So, like...
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Losing things in this couch.
No, it's a really... it's omnivorous couch. Yeah. I recommend using the table instead of the couch if you want to keep...
I put it in my pocket. That was the problem.
I see. Yeah. So, like... That's different from, like, you being of the generation like Shada who, like, witnessed the destruction of her planet, I reckon. I don't know, because I think we're going to learn more about her later on. I have deduced from Wikipedia quotes. I'm not sure, or, like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know, I can't remember if she witnessed it or not. The only thing I know is that she has thoughts and feelings about it. Because it's also, like, you get the flip side with, like, Leia, like,
Leia doesn't talk about it.
Leia doesn't talk about it. Leia, like, she'll, like, think about it, like, she'll be convulsed by it, but, like, she will not talk about it.
You know
What?
She did
What?
In response to her people being destroyed. She had 3 children.
Yes.
Which is what people do.
Yes.
In those situations.
Yeah.
Is, like, you get this really... I don't want to call it natalist.
Mm-hmm.
Necessarily. Because I guess it's, like, partially external.
Mm-hmm.
But... I mean, you can kind of, like, trace natalist adjacent ideals in groups after they experience atrocity on this level is, like, and a lot of it is internalized. It's like, oh, wow, everyone I know is dead. If I don't have 10 children...
Who will I know?
There will be no more people.
Yeah.
My people will be gone.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
It is interesting. No, but the other thing too, with regards to Leia, is that the president of the New Republic, not only is Leia, a powerful figure, she was previously the president of the New Republic until President Gaverson took over because she needed a leave of absence, I guess. He wants to talk to her in particular alongside Boris Valia about the news that there is a petition being brought so that the Bothans can pay reparations to the Ka'amas. And he's like, oh, I want to talk to you, Leia, in particular, because you know what it's like. You are a victim. You are a survivor of a genocide. And
I mean, I feel like Leia Organa Sola is probably more familiar with the genocide of her people than anyone else in the galaxy.
Yeah, because she
Because
watched it happen.
She was the only Alderaanian, other than Tycho, which he was far away,
Mm-hmm.
who actively watched them do it. And on top of that, Tarkin blames her for the destruction of Alderaan, so that's a whole nother layer of crazy shit.
Yeah. But she's sort of the opposite of Shada, because she is, she's taking Boris Valia at face value, because the whole thing that is kind of ripping the galaxy apart here is the fact that they don't know exactly which Bothans were a part of this. Which also, granted, it was 50 years ago, so they could also be dead, or what are we gonna punish? I don't know. I think we looked this up, and it might be slightly longer than human lifespans.
Okay. So yeah, they might totally be dead.
Yeah, and even if they're not, yeah, I guess you could punish them. You could, but Leia seems most distressed about this, not in terms of the fact that oh, this changes my opinion of Bothans. She's good people are going to start calling for blood, and I think that her reading the saying oh, good people are going to start calling for blood is incredibly charitable, because it's also, there are going to be good people who are going to start, they'll be swept up in groupthink, I suppose, that of course happens, but also there are going to be, as we see in this book, bad actors who take advantage of that, which I think she also is aware of that and grieves that.
It's very fascinating.
It is really, yeah.
Politicians use victims of a genocide for political gain.
Yeah. No, it was really interesting. The description of the Galactic Senate was very, I was like, no, that's familiar.
Yeah, it's very familiar.
Yeah. They're like, oh, things get stuck in committee and nothing gets done? That's crazy.
Everyone's arguing who feels the worst.
Wow.
I guess it's getting less familiar.
People arguing who's feeling the worst?
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's happened in a minute.
Well, this country is being run by a banker.
Yeah.
The United States is a fascist hellscape.
Yeah.
The UK is the UK. They've always been like that, and they always will be like that. I love the bin man, bin head, bin face.
I love him too.
Australia has also always been like that.
Mm-hmm.
Can't make any other judgment calls right now.
Mm-hmm. Huh?
I said AfD support is up. That's the other judgment call.
Oh yeah, that's... Yeah. No, because I've been listening to the news in German again, and I was like, it's like that meme. This is like, hey Germany, what's going on?
Oh.
Jesus fucking Christ!
Speaking of people that committed a genocide.
The Germans? Yeah. No, go back to feeling bad about that all the time.
Yeah, maybe we should.
You're still in timeout.
Collectively responsible. Well, the interesting thing about that, and it would be something that would be interesting to see explored in Star Wars literature, which I don't think they will, because it has become a lot more self-referential over the past 30 years or whatever. Doing a speculative fiction on the anti-Nazi laws from the 50s, wherein Germany technically has the ability to remove any party that is proposing Nazi ideology. They have only used it once.
They should use it again.
They should use it again. The problem is if they wanted to use it, they should have used it
10 fucking years ago at least. Yeah. Because now it's sort of, the support is high enough at this point that if you make the party illegal, then you're going to have a significant part of the population that's going to feel targeted and beleaguered, and it's going to make it even fucking worse. Yeah. No, we can start wrapping up.
Is there other things you want?
Okay, so that's the politicization of genocide.
Genocide,
Speaking,
racism against Bothans, and the New Republic politics.
yeah, which we covered in this.
Yeah.
And the one last thing that's kind of funny about, well, it's not funny, but like, I tracked in my notes like how information about Ka'amas travels, and I just think it's really funny that the last main character who learns about this document is Han Solo. Like, he returns to Coruscant, and he's like, why? What's happening? Why are there Kamasi people in Leia's office? That's so interesting. And then he gets a call from Talon Card, who's like,
Hey, just,
by the way, shit's about to hit the fan.
just hanging out with your wife.
Yeah.
She was on my ship.
Now I have her private number.
I called her personal contact.
I love
Which more, it feels like, obviously he did not know Han Solo was going to be in Leia's office, but like, it's less telling him about the Ka'amasi document and more just being like, I'm going to insinuate that I fucked your wife.
Yeah, that is what he did. No, there's a way that it's like put where like when Talon Card is explaining why he has Leia's private comlink, he says it with both impish and like a coy and impish expression or something like that. It's like, God, I hate how loud this fucking chair is. Yeah. The other thing I have is just little like more notes on what's going on with the Empire, just because I think it's really, really funny.
Give up.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over, boys.
Yeah. No.
You know, you could really map this on to the Japanese reaction to the surrender of the European theater
Tell me more.
during World War II. So, not that we can necessarily relate Pelion to Sergio.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were going to do that, Disra is just the shogunate.
Yeah.
Is they like not the shogunate, the military leaders, they don't call them that.
Mm-hmm.
But and in the summer of 1945, there were several attempted coups where they wanted to overthrow the emperor because the emperor was like, "It's over, boys.
Time to pack it up.
I'm sorry. I know I'm the emperor, but we're cooked.
It's not looking good.
Italy, gone. Germany, Hitler's dead. Hitler's been dead for months at this point.
Yeah.
They figured out about the Holocaust. They're gonna find out about our weird shit, which they would have found out about anyway because that shit was published in Japanese medical journals. Unlike Nazi experiments, which were kept behind closed doors, in case anyone was wondering. Were not peer-reviewed. A lot of the Unit 731 data ended up being peer-reviewed.
Wow.
Which is even a more, like, everybody knew what was happening,
Yeah.
at least within the Empire. And you kind of have this internal power struggle, which culminates in the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because it just kind of was this thing where the Emperor was like, guys, we need to... I know an unconditional surrender is like not possible, but if you shut the fuck up, maybe I can negotiate something. And they negotiated it because his allies had already accepted unconditional surrenders.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
kind of need to be like a group.
Yeah.
United front on that one, I guess. But Disra kind of exists in that same capacity where they literally just like concoct a dude in an attempt to overthrow Pelion because he decides the Empire is like morally just and needs to continue existing in the exact way it's existing right now. Because, you know, at the very beginning of this book, Pelion could argue concessions with the New Republic.
Yeah.
Just by virtue of existing in these spaces, I know that the Empire like still exists into NJO, but so they do get concessions. But it is very interesting.
It's also interesting because that like Disra seems to have like read the writing on the wall in terms of what like Pelion's angling was here, since he's been looking for a fake Thrawn for 8 years. And I don't know, it's also just really funny that like Disra is the guy who's trying to do this, but he's also kind of fucking dumb. Like,
Well, that was the problem.
yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that every coup led by a smart man
No.
is a successful coup.
Yeah.
But coups led by intelligent men are usually more likely to succeed than coups led by dumbasses.
Yeah. Because, like, his whole plan is, like, as long as we have a guy that looks like Thrawn, everyone will fall into line. Perfect plan. And then,
You can still be the emperor, but you have no power.
Yeah.
From the Bill Ward's video.
Yeah. And then Tyrus is like, you gotta, this is your plan? This is your whole plan, is just to be like, oh, this guy looks like Thrawn? This is Thrawn?
Could even go find another guy.
Yeah.
The same species as Thrawn?
Yeah, like,
Everyone's been hanging out in the unknown regions.
Yeah, you couldn't find
Couldn't find a blue
an
guy.
eligible chiss?
Just any blue guy.
Literally. Like, come on.
Like,
There's Pantorans. Why is it a human painted blue?
Yeah, like, why'd you have to get a person who's very obviously not blue?
Yeah. He's gonna get irritated with the contact lenses in his eyes all the time that also glow. This is ridiculous. But, yeah. No. And it's like, it's just interesting that, like, Tyrus is the one who, like, he's like, okay, well, you have all these things in place. You've got your connections with the pirates. You got all these ships. You also, we didn't talk about that there's Thrawn's clone sleeper cells are apparently out and about and up to stuff. And, yeah. So, Tyrus is like, these are all things that you could use in concert with your new fake Thrawn. And let's also take advantage of this Kama's thing.
What blue guy?
Yeah.
The guy we painted blue.
But if you put them together, you might have something.
What blue guy?
Blue guy fun. It is really funny that he was painted blue. He blew himself for nothing.
Well, I mean,
That's
maybe
an
it's like
Arrested
a
Development
racism
quote.
thing where they didn't want to find
Oh, for
one,
sure.
And they, like, wouldn't... And they needed to find a human to, like, justify their human supremacist
Yeah.
ideology.
I think it's definitely a certain level of that, of like...
But sometimes you just gotta do things.
Yeah, no. I do think it's kind of amazing the response that the, like, Imperial officials have to the fake Thrawn. They like, Disra is telling them these ideas, and they're like, come on, man, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm not gonna move these ships over there, and cloaking devices over Bathui, what's going on there? And then they just pull fake Thrawn out of a hat, and they're like, anything you say, my king, this makes so much sense, I will not question your judgment. But I guess, like, Thrawn's reputation precedes him.
That it does.
Yeah,
He's become myth in and of itself.
indeed.
So, in a roundabout way, that was the first 11 chapters of Specter of the Past. Do you have any final thoughts, Lenny? Or are you not too distracted by your Student Alumni Association emails?
I have no other thoughts.
Yeah, I don't have any other thoughts either.
Word.
Wow, I think that might be the first time this has happened.
That we didn't have thoughts at the
Yeah,
end?
we talked about everything we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow. Maybe we should just split every book into two.
I think it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah. We have so many ideas.
we do have so many ideas.
Although we did do Split Eye Jedi into two, and we still didn't manage to talk about everything. Yeah.
Well, okay. That was first half of Spectre of the Past. If you want to listen to more of this, we'll be back in 2 whole weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll be covering the second half. And then after that, we'll be doing Vision of the Future. Thank you so much for listening to us ramble for however long the edited version of this is. You can find us on Substack and Blue Sky. At, like, Interview with a Boffin. We also both have personal Blue Skies that maybe we should add.
Ooh,
You can
yeah.
also send us an email.
You could do that.
You could rate us on your podcast platform of choice. If you so chose, you could leave a comment. You could do whatever the fuck you want. You could make a collage and scan it and email it to us. Our music is by Thomas Seibel. Our art is by Lenny Apesos. This show is hosted by Laverty and Lenny Apesos. We will see you next time. Is there anything I'm missing?